This is the Bullet List Podcast with my dad and this random British guy.
Hey Keith, how's it going?
It's going. I'm actually doing pretty well.
Not so bad. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Because this week you've been at the PCMA show. I keep getting that wrong. PCMA. PCMA.
You Brits.
Yeah, that's Brits. That's random British people.
Convening leaders. They were bringing leaders together.
Well, I assume that's what it means, convening leaders. I mean, you're bringing leaders together. Anyway, so you were there.
I was there. I was actually there with Dahlia and the Dahlia Plus team, which is one of the highlights of my months, weeks, years, when I get to go have the opportunity to go and do that. It's a ton of fun.
Dahlia was one of our previous guests.
Actually, she was our last guest.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, was she episode 7, episode 8? Because we've had a bit of a problem with the numbering, haven't we? Well, I say me, because I'm responsible for the blog post.
Well, I'm the one that uploads it to the podcasting post, so I didn't catch it.
Yeah, you didn't even notice. So we got 2 episodes 6 for some reason. So we have 6A and 6B. I don't care, whatever.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
But let's chat about Vegas.
But yes, Vegas. Yes, center of entertainment.
Yes. Have you been to Vegas?
No, I haven't. Sadly. I've been to Fort Worth. I have been to Dallas. I've been to the Colorado Mountains, but not Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas is a special animal, especially for meetings and events. It is one of the best places to bring a conference, meeting, convention, trade show. It is also one of the worst places to bring all of the above. I think that's a topic for a whole another episode about why it can be one of the worst places. One that comes to mind for me is if you are in one of the larger hotels, whether it's Mandalay Bay, the MGM or Caesars, you end up, and let's say your meeting has 500 people. You are a tiny little fish in a big ocean. And so I hate to say it this way, but you just kind of sometimes don't get the service that you would in another destination with 500 people. If you go there and you're the CES or you're the home builder show, obviously, you've got 100,000 attendees. That's a whole different ballgame, right? You're front and center. Those are the types of events that do really well in Vegas, but we're not here to talk about Vegas per se.
No. Last thing I was going to mention about it was the fact that it is in Vegas is the center of US entertainment. It's where everybody goes for casinos, whatever. It must be also very distracting for organizers who are trying to keep everybody together to do their thing. Yet there's slot machines everywhere and there's shows to be had, and it can't be easy. It
can be. When you have, I think one of the biggest problem with attendees is, you're in these massive, monstrous casinos that don't have any windows, and they purposely keep the light exactly the same 24 hours a day so that you don't really know what time it is, right? And so people will go out at night and not realize what time it is. And by the time they get back to their room, it's 2:00 in the morning. Sessions start at 8. People come a little later.
Yeah. To be honest, it sounds a little bit like IKEA. I take it you've got IKEAs in the US. Over here, they're known for places that you go in the morning, you don't come out until late evening with about 15 wooden spoons and a couple of plates,
It is the IKEA of entertainment.
Good grief. So where was this year's show then?
So PCMA held it. The two, main hotels for everybody were Harrah's, which is where I was, and the Link Hotel, which are connected. But the conference itself took place at Caesars Forum, which is actually a new venue in Vegas. It is a purpose-built conference center that is actually connected to the link in Harrah's via a nice walkway, which was really good. And I do want to talk about that, but I think we should probably dive right into PCMA and the event itself, because I know that there has been a ton of stuff on social media. They do have reported cases. We should not forget that Omicron is raging right now. And there were people who, were on social media saying, why is PCMA going forward? Why are they doing it? Do I have those questions? Of course. Is it the right time to meet? I don't know. But we went, and I think they did all they really could when it comes to the mitigation, right? Masks were enforced. I did see some people on social media saying, oh, we're at PCMA and people aren't wearing masks. I didn't see that. Yes, of course, there's always the person that's eating and forgets to put their mask back up. We all do it. But I think overall, the attendees were very well behaved. I think they kept their masks on. It is what it is. Yeah.
I mean, you were in the same place that CES was, the Consumer Electronics Show, a week or so ago. So we're talking about PCMA, I'll get that wrong every time, 10 and 12th of January 2022. And the CES show was, a week or two before? And
you get butted right up against it. I think they were pretty close together.
And of course, at the CES, a whole ton of companies, big brand names, just didn't turn up.
And then
the response is quite interesting how the PCMA went ahead, and it didn't seem like many people, if any, dropped out, as it were. But CES the week before did. So
I know that they did have a lot of attendees that kind of went virtual at the last minute, which is expected. These are the times we live in. I have a live event next week for a client and one the week after that, and attendance is down, right? Because people are nervous. Personally, when I made my decision to go, right, I'm vaccinated, I'm boosted, and I had COVID in September. So I felt relatively okay with going. Right. I think it's a personal decision, whether to go or not, and then take those risks. Right. The second I got home, I tested. I didn't, I wasn't around my family until I took a test. It is what it is.
Yeah. Of course, the reason some people might be going virtual simply because travel to Vegas has become very problematic.
Travel in general has become pretty problematic.
Yeah. I guess I'm just being Britishly polite about it. But it's become much more complicated, much more difficult. So some people just said, sod it, I'll just go virtual.
Yeah. So, and that's cool too. One of the things we're doing for the event that we have in about a week is, they were going to stream some sessions, but now they're just going to do them all, because they know that people are going to watch. They're going to watch virtual. So you just got to adapt. But I do. Oh, go ahead. What?
No, I was going to say, speaking of transport and travel, one thing that we did mention briefly before we hit the record button was getting to the venue, taxis, Uber, and all that sort of thing.
Yeah. So Caesars Forum I love this venue. It is brand new. It is connected to the Lincoln to Harrah's by a nice walkway. Harrah's itself, as a hotel, has come a long way. My room was absolutely great. No problems with it whatsoever. It was lovely. It had gotten, the soft goods are updated, all that great stuff. But when you go down the elevators and go across the sky bridge over to Caesars Forum, it's in 5 minutes you're there, right? Whereas in parts of Vegas, if you're, I remember doing a trade show once at Mandalay Bay, and I went from my room, walked all the way through the casino, walked all the way down to the conference center or exhibit hall, whatever. And I remember I forgot something, and I literally had to look at everybody and go, "I'll be back in a half hour," right? Because getting back was that long. So it's actually a really nice little venue. However, Uber and taxis, I had to argue with my Uber driver. I give him, because it's not attached to Caesars Palace Casino where all their other stuff is. It's actually on Koval, which if you're familiar, if anyone out there is familiar with Las Vegas, You have South Las Vegas Boulevard, and Koval is one, I guess, Las Vegas block, over. And the Uber driver was going to take me to Caesars. And I'm like, no, it's not there. It's somewhere. Argued with me the whole way. And then when he gets there, he's like, oh, this is new. It's like, duh.
Yeah, I told you so. Yeah.
But they've got, when you come across that sky bridge or walkway and you come down the escalators into the conference center, they have got the best video wall I've ever seen. Hands down the best video wall I've ever seen. It was absolutely spectacular.
Oh, cool. I think you mean it's like very, very, very large.
Although it's a brand new venue, and I don't know if we were the first people to use it. We're definitely one of the first to use it. One of the bathrooms had a smell problem, and it came out all the way into like the registration area. So it is something I'm sure they will fix. But everyone was talking about how it kind of smelled like poo.
Oh no! I've actually come across. I've been attending some networking events in central London. This is just a tangent. And in some of these restaurants, they have these beautiful toilets. They're really nice and clean and sparkly. However, there's a tendency to have a mirror wall.
Yeah.
And then the actual urinals themselves are at a 90-degree angle. So when you stand against the urinal, you can watch yourself. And so can everybody else. And that's really weird.
Yes, it is really weird. So one of the sponsors actually did, and I wish I could do a shout out to them because it's actually a pretty cool idea, but I don't know who did it. They did a bathroom activation. And so when you went into the bathroom, they had like amenities there that were sponsored by one of the sponsors. And you may think that that's silly, but whenever you do anything, right, like any type of activation, you want people to talk about. They were just boom, boom. They were like, have you been in the bathrooms? Is the men's room like the women's room? We had this and we had this. It was great. So, I mean, great sponsorship.
I suppose at the end of the day, everything and anything can be sponsored.
Yeah, it can. One of the, and I, just to change gears a little bit, because I don't know, popped into my head. One of the things I had a problem with at the venue, I can't speak to the sessions or anything. Everyone seemed to have an awesome time, but we were in what passes for an exhibit hall, and because they do things a little different, it isn't booths. The music. So all day long, the music that was coming out of the house sound was 80s hair bands. So it was the Scorpions, Def Leppard, which isn't conference music, and no one ever changed it. It was very distracting when you're trying to have a conversation with folks, and it's like, you hear "Rock Me Like a Hurricane," blaring out of the sound system. That's great music. I actually like 80s hair bands, on a Saturday night after a couple beers, it's great. But when you're actually in a business environment.
Yeah. Time and a place.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't quite fancy going to a place and just hearing the final countdown being blasted out the speakers. So let's try and put this into a bullet list then. So let's go with your top 3 really good things about the show then, your experiences.
I will start off. The top 3 things are actually, I'm usually the first to knock anybody, but I'm not going to knock PCMA. I think they did all they could. That's a good thing. I think no one could have done a better job at hosting an event in the middle of a pandemic. There will be questions about whether or not they should have gone forward, but that's not what this is about. This is about the event that actually happened. And I think that they did a pretty good job. The next thing is, most people don't think of Harrah's as a hotel for, your main hotel when you go to Vegas. I actually thought it was very nice. I thought it was small and manageable and easy. Caesars Forum. I think once they fix that bathroom smell, it is going to be a flippin' amazing. new venue for Las Vegas. I thought it was, it is hands down. It is one of the better small conference centers I've been. Although it has a 500,000 square feet of space, so it is pretty big.
Well, it's pretty big. So what are the three things you say they didn't do so well on? Or three experiences that you thought could have been done better? That sort of thing?
Wow. I don't have much on the bad side. I am going to say the food. The food that was there that they had for all of the attendees. It was buffet style. That bothered a lot of people because it's a pandemic. It was actually very, very good. I don't have a problem with the quality of the food. I thought it was excellent. They did this tandoori chicken breakfast Benedict that was, you'd think that would be nasty, and it was phenomenal. However, you were actually, because you were getting it at a buffet in an exhibit hall, you were putting your food on a plate. They have, for half the things, they only give a fork and no knife. So you could not cut your tandoori. So you actually had to claw at it with your fork. I thought that was weird. I think the food choices were good. I think how they delivered them could have been a little bit better, because I did notice people having a hard time, in an exhibit hall trying to find a place to eat. And, yeah, whatever. So that's kind of a gripe, but it's not a huge one. And the one thing about PCMA that I think that they can do, they need to really think about how they do that hall. It's all of the tech companies were grouped together in the back, and they weren't getting a ton of traffic. Now, mind you, it's a pandemic, and so they're, obviously down on traffic. But could you spread them out throughout the rest of the thing so that people are forced to walk through? I don't know but they really need to just take a look at that and just make some improvements. I think they did a great job. I think everything looked phenomenal. I think they just need to figure out a way to really get the attendees to interact with the companies that are there to support them.
I guess it's a very fine balance between having a large venue and the expectation of a lot of people, because you can then fit everybody in. But if you don't have a lot of attendees and you've chosen a big place, it's going to look empty.
Very true.
But then again, if you choose a smaller place and you've got a lot of people turning up, it's going to be too busy, too packed. And of course, in this current climate, then you start worrying about your health issues, because too many people in a small place, not enough ventilation, it's not good. So from a event planning point of view, it must be really difficult.
It is. But as a total side note, this whole thing about, big venues and looking empty, we're running into that, because we want, with our live events, because we want people to be socially distant as much as possible. And we want to make sure there's plenty of room in that live space. And we're thinking about pictures. You cannot take a picture, for example, from the stage showing the speaker and this awesome crowd, because they're all spread out. So it looks like this, whoever it is in an empty room. So
yeah, it must be really, really difficult to sort of get the photos, get the ambience right. From a planning point of view, whoever's been responsible for it did as best as they could in the circumstances.
Oh, I actually let's go back to my good list.
Okay.
Because I want to add, I actually get to meet with some tech companies that I've known of, but I haven't really had any interaction with, that I think we should do future episodes on, because there were some really great products. I think InEvent was that, they've got a virtual event delivery platform. From what I can see before diving into it, it looked absolutely phenomenal. I think the team over at All Seated, I talked to Nick Borelli for a good hour about what they've got coming, and they're doing some really good stuff. Juno, the event app that PCMA used, there were some issues with Juno while we were there, but most of the stuff that we saw had more to do with the Wi-Fi in the conference center rather than the actual app itself. So I know people were like, event app. And then I'd look at it and go, it's because you haven't signed into the Wi-Fi and it doesn't know what to do.
Yeah. But that's another subject entirely, isn't it? Balancing the Wi-Fi needs.
Yeah. let's see who else was doing some really, really cool stuff. Hubelo was there. It was good to meet. They've got a whole bunch of people now on their US team, and it was really good to see them. Rachel and those guys were doing an awesome job. I think Hubelo is still one of my favorite platforms, and they're coming a long way. Who else?
Sounds good. Sounds good.
It was good. Saw Julius from Hoppin, the Death Star, moving through the
galactic empire that is Hoppin. Yeah.
Moving through the solar system of virtual events, picking everything up on the way.
Yep. Yeah, I imagine.
Right, let's bring this one to a close. I
think we've covered that. It's pretty good. And also, I must point out, we must mention the fact that you've come back and you have tested negative.
Yes. And I will actually take another. I waited 3 days, and I'll take another test tomorrow. But yeah, here's the thing, right? I'm one of those people. Yes, I am frustrated. I have to wear a mask all the time, but I wear my mask all the time.
Take personal responsibility for your health and how you do business. Yeah.
Busy was Tao, but that was Soraya's birthday, and if any of you know Soraya Herbert, you can't pass her birthday up because she is amazing. And it was crowded. It was really crowded. It was really, really crowded.
Oh dear.
Anyway, all right, cool. So who's up next? I think our next guest is Michelle Bergstein from Be Creative Marketing.
Which company is she from?
Creative Marketing. They do marketing for meetings and events and event companies and other companies in Florida.
Excellent. Well, if anybody wants to listen to that one, then don't forget to check out our website. Check us out on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts now. We're there.
Google Podcasts.
Yes, Google Podcasts are in there.
Wherever.
And well, mustn't forget to mention that we also have a Facebook group.
Yeah, we do.
Yes. So don't just listen. Come and join in. Come and make a few comments. Tell us how good and wonderful we are. Because we need that sort of thing.
Or how much we suck. That's totally...
No, it's not. I only want people saying how wonderful we are because it keeps me going all day.
It's really funny. When I used to write all the time on the Planner Wire blog and people would put like nasty comments or whatever, if I knocked a destination or something, they would put a nasty comment on Facebook. They actually make me laugh. So bring it.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. Anyway, you can find us on Facebook as the Bullet List Show. We are the Bullet List Show now, not podcast. So, because at some point we're going to go video, and we'll let you know when that happens.
Someday.
Yeah, someday. Better do some housework first before that happens. Anyway, so check us out on the website, on your favorite podcasting platform. We've got RSS feeds for the blog and for the podcast. We've got a Facebook group. And so come and chat. If you want to be a guest, come and talk to us on the Facebook group and let us know your interest, and we'll have a chat and sort things out. And I think that's it. Until next time.